We've been doing a lot of pivot chord modulation, and that's the one that I definitely want you to be strongest at. But it's important to understand that there are other ways that we can modulate, and these are the three biggies when it's not a pivot chord modulation. The first one, a sequential modulation, is when you have a sequence, and when you get to the end of the sequence, you're in a new key. So I'm going to give you an example of a sequence where it starts in a key and then ends in the same key, but then I'll give you a same sequence where I'll start in that key, but I'll go too far and then in a new key. You ready? So first one, start in a key, end in that same key. Second one, start in the key, but my sequence goes in a new direction, ends in a different key. So that was an example where I did a sequence, and I ended it right back where I started. Now, what about this one? So that's sequential modulation, right? So think of it like getting on the bus, and if you go all the way around, you come back to where you were. But if you get off and you go too far, you go to a new place, or maybe you didn't go far enough and you go to a new place. So that's how a sequential modulation works. You just do the same thing over and over, repeating it up or down, and eventually you get to a new key. We're going to look at examples of that soon. Common tone. Common tone is where you have one pitch that links one key to the next. So instead of having like a pivot chord, it's like a pivot note. And you're going to hear this one featured note that will start you in one key and take you to a new key. So if you were listening to that F sharp that I kept playing, da, 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 it was in a minor key, but then I held the F sharp, and then suddenly the F sharp became part of a major harmony, right? And we went to a new key. So that's the idea, is sometimes we just have one note that links it. I'll play it one more time for you. So that's the idea. Excuse me. So that's the idea with when you have common tone, is you'll have that one note. The last one, direct or phrasal, is when you're going along and you get to a cadence and you're like, all right, I'm in that key, and then suddenly you start the new phrase on a new key, and there's absolutely no relationship. You were going along, sounded great, had a cadence, maybe you had a cadence in C, and then suddenly, boom, you start in B flat, or something like that. So anytime you end like a phrase, or you end a section in one key, and then suddenly there's no rhyme or reason, but it goes to a new key on the next phrase, and just starts like with no relationship, then we call that a direct modulation or a phrasal modulation, right? You ended one phrase in a key, started a new phrase in a brand new key. Now, we're going to be looking at examples of this starting on page 93. So go ahead and take out page 93, 94, 95, 96, and we're going to look at a few examples. You know, and it just occurred to me that I probably need to make another copy of this, so I have one on the overhead and one that I can play. So this will be continued on another video.